We do. And I started.
Then I'd like to call the Education Subcommittee meeting to order. The first item on the agenda are the minutes for October, which went out with the invitation to this meeting. Has everybody had a chance to look at them? And if they do, are there any changes, amendments, whatever? Sarah Lynn, did you want to say something?
No, I was just scratching my face.
Oh, it looks like you were raising your hand.
Yeah, sorry, no, thank you, but I'm glad to be back.
Well, we're glad to have you back.
Thank you. It's been so long, and I still have a little bit of long COVID, but I'm so much better.
Good.
Poor lady.
And then I have surgery next week, but I'm not worried about it.
Does anyone need to see the minutes? I can pull them up if anyone wants.
Yeah, would anybody like to see them who hasn't been able to read them so far? No, it doesn't look like we need them. Would somebody like to make a motion to approve them?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Thanks, Greg. Is there a second?
Second.
Thanks, Marie. All those in favor, raise your hand. Thank you, Marie.
I'm
love
assuming
that
I
little
shouldn't
one down
vote.
That's true. It's unanimous of all those who were present in the meeting. All right, the next item on the agenda, I know that Karen's put some things together for us and they sound pretty interesting.
Yeah, so first, I'm sorry for the redundant agendas we keep having, but I don't know what else to call what we keep doing, except for what it says. So I did put a few things together on a PowerPoint like I did last time, and then we can see where we go from there as far as discussion. Hold on just a second.
I'm hearing a lot of feedback. Are you all?
Mhm.
Yeah, it was Pete.
Oh, it's me typing that on.
Busted.
All right. So, first of all, I received an email. I must just be on some lists, but I don't know if anyone else gets things like this, but I'm sharing because I thought it was some of the results in this survey were kind of interesting for what we've been talking about. So I went ahead and I can email the it's a PDF that I can email out as well, but I just decided for now to do some screenshots just to show you. But this is a survey that was done through the Food Service Packaging Institute. And just so everybody could see kind of what it was through the Resource Recycling Services. I think that's what that stands for. And so about 1,000 respondents, some were part of an FPI community partnership, and about half were and half were not. We've actually been.
What is that? What is
FPI is the Food Service Packaging Institute, and we've been a community partner ourselves when we did the push for Westrock. It may have been QRS still at the time, I can't remember, but they committed to recycling takeout containers, all except styrofoam, of course, and then we did kind of a campaign of don't trash your takeout. So that was back in 2017, I believe. But anyway, so that's who they are. Well, I didn't really explain too much of who they are, but that's what that stands for, Food Service Packaging Institute. And they do different partnerships. Basically, I know it's kind of a feel-good thing for an industry that has a lot of trash to try to, do some good as far as getting it recycled. So, okay, so when I was reading this, they gave this bulleted list of general findings, which are all really interesting, but I did highlight the two that I thought were relevant to what we've been talking about. One is that they found that people look for information on the package itself for recycling information, which is good that there's been a lot more of that being placed on packaging. It can be bad just because sometimes it's not correct for everywhere. But and then the second most popular approach is just directly from us, basically, the recycling program. But then the second one there relied upon information. So they were asked to rank different information sources. And the most relied upon source was reported to be the signage on the recycling cart, which I don't know. I mean, in our case, maybe some haulers have signage on their cart, and I know ours don't really. But I thought that was kind of interesting because we've been talking about trying to create something that can be added to a cart. And then the next most relied upon information comes from the website, of course. So, and then
Actually, are you saying that the carts generally don't have information?
correct. I mean, from my experience, yes.
Rumpke just delivered carts to our entire city, and that is one of the best parts of them. There's a lovely big sticker that you would probably recognize components of on top of the cart, and yes, it works.
Well, that's good. That's where I'm kind of going with this in a few minutes. Because
We tried it once. I thought we tried it a while back, but it was just on like paper or something, and it's faded in the weather and light. So we're gonna do that, but if you could share what the material is made out of.
It's a decal of some kind, and it definitely is. And we've only had the carts for about a month, but there doesn't like weather is to be an issue. I mean, it must be plastic of some kind.
I was thinking that Rumpke may have been a hauler that does that, but that's but I wasn't for sure, so I didn't want to say for sure. But thank you.
In-
Don't forget
In
those.
reference,
Go ahead.
in reference to what Greg was saying, there were stickers that were placed on a lot of carts. In the colors, even though that it was clear coated to keep UV penetration out, they faded within a year, and the lighter colors were gone, and the darker colors stayed, and it really made the whole thing confusing. So, you can't necessarily just go take stickers off. It's just not that easy. So you have to be careful with stickers, and colors have to be very, very good. And certain colors need to be stayed away from. One is yellow.
Yeah. Sandra, what
Is that
city is
because
yours?
yellow? Pardon?
What city is yours? I forget.
Prospect.
I thought
And
so.
we just went to the 95-gallon things, and the top of them have a sticker that's at least 12 inches long in one direction, and it's clear and bright. If I can figure out how to take a picture of it, I'll send Karen.
Okay. And it's on the top, not on the inside of the lid.
It's on the lid, and it's right in the middle of the lid. You
Okay.
have to look at it. It's
Gotcha.
well done.
Okay, well, we'll get back to that idea and thought about cart stickers in a moment, but I did find that to be interesting as far as what they found in their research. The next one that I highlighted is decision to recycle. And I thought this was interesting. Responses to multiple questions suggest that material plays a greater role than form. So they give an example there, like the material being paper, possibly, rather than it being just any type of cup or something. So not just, it comes up again about paper cups. The other one, I didn't highlight it, but impact of news. I kind of had my own theory about this, and I was glad that the results of their study proved that. But typically, I am of the thought process that if something comes up in the news, especially locally, about recycling, that it kind of brings it to the forefront and makes people think about recycling again if maybe they've gone away from it. So I'm hoping that some of our initiatives like the Recycle Right program, where we tag carts and things like some of that. Once we get that going a little stronger, I would like to put that out into the media, or hopefully the media will pick it up, so that it can be something that's brought to everyone's attention.
I think that's a
Um,
good idea. And if you looked at today's newspaper, there's a horrible picture in there of plastic. And it's not in the United States, but you can't help but look at that picture and realize we've all got to do something.
Yes. All right. And then another part of the study after those findings is some recommendations. And so this kind of went along with our ideas as we compile any materials that we would like to be countywide. These are some things. Grouping of recyclables. This kind of goes back to that idea of material rather than just form. So it should consider communicating important information about both material and form, ideally showing both material types and forms. Between material and form, it may be more effective to emphasize material type in resident messaging about recycling. For example, in grouping recyclables by material on recycling flyers and in using paper cup rather than coffee cup or beverage cup, this could aid in recall and correct recycling behavior. So basically putting together what it's made of and what it is and grouping things, which I think most of us have been doing on flyers, kind of grouping it by material. So like you wouldn't say, let's all recycle bottles, and in your picture have plastic bottles and aluminum bottles and glass bottles. You're kind of going to say recycle your plastic bottles and jugs and cups and all that, and then carry on with other materials. So I think that's a little more common anyway, but I thought that was pretty interesting. And then of course, you can't always rely on a package itself to have information about how to recycle it and do it properly in your community. So it's just saying that the importance of education is there. And then preferred information sources. I thought this was interesting too. Again, the most relied upon source being on-cart signage. That is a considerable investment, but it has the greatest impact. And it's visible during the act of recycling, as Sandra was saying, and it can't be misplaced like a flyer could. So for the respondents who recycle only sometimes, the preferred information sources are also signage and the program website. But campaigns should utilize both communication tools to maximize effectiveness. But the other things like magnets or brochures or search tools and social media would still be used by some residents. So it doesn't mean you don't do them, but just to understand that they could be less of a priority if you don't have budget for that. Although some of that is really the cheaper stuff like social media and everything. But anyway, so I found that to be pretty interesting. And then of course, other cities, and I don't have a picture of your cart, Sandra, yet, but
I will try.
yeah,
to
but
take one and send it to you.
these two are from other cities that I found one online and Diane found one, but they're just stickers that are placed on a cart lid. So I'm not exactly sure at this point if Rumpke is doing that on a regular basis, of how we can kind of make it a countywide effort, but this is very much a draft, but I just basically put together some of the things that are on, like we have a big dumpster sticker for our recycling drop-off locations. So I took some of that information and just created like a similar one to the top picture of what ours could look like, and how we do the not accepted in recycling. That's kind of where I didn't finish, but I wanted to have something visual for you all. Sarah Lynn?
I was just going to say there's a couple places where we could eliminate big words, which means 3 or more syllables unless it's a participle or a proper noun, like where it says empty food and beverage carton, if we just changed it to beverage to drink,
Mhm.
it lowers the requirement for reading.
Okay, that's good to know. Thank you.
I can send you an article entitled Obfuscatory Scrivenery, parentheses, foggy writing, on how to drop the reading level of what you put out.
Sounds good.
Idea.
So that's just a thought. Now, this is something that we've discussed in some of our previous meetings, and this QR code here actually is not, it goes to a website, a recycling website, but the idea that I had, or that we've had through these meetings, is to have a website that is very much a waste district recycling website, so that the information on it, and that's where this QR code could lead you, would be beneficial for anyone, no matter where you live in the county. And then, so just basically saying that the QR code leads to a waste district recycling webpage. And of course, we can also have the URL written out, but that the content of that page could have links to haulers' websites. If they know they have Rumpke, for example, they may want to click further for their own hauler. Even more specific recycling info than is on the sticker. And then even some downloadable content that one could use for their own education, or to share in newsletters or social media posts, which is
One of the
something.
other things that has come up a number of times for me in the last couple of months is, where in Jefferson County can I recycle X? I know I asked you about old fire extinguishers, but that's gotten me talking to other people. Like a man yesterday had just changed all of the smoke detectors in his house, and now he's got 11 smoke detectors and he doesn't know how to get rid of the old ones.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's true. That should be added to this list of drop-off locations, event, like our pop-up drop-offs, electronics recycling has been, that's a good point. So having all of that, anything basically that's available to a resident in Jefferson County. And then I just put in a few examples in here of things that I've used in our own newsletter. When I do newsletter content that's kind of written, I guess, blog style, I usually have no waste as a heading, and then the topic. So this is an example of one on wish cycling, which is just putting things in it would get recycled. And then another one, just talk about reduce, reuse, recycle, but reduce is number one. It's being a thing to try to do. And then even some social media content. This is just the idea that we could have these things available, especially for community leaders that might want to share. And of course, it can, well, however, I feel like just the fact of having a website that's dedicated to this would be really helpful, whether it's added to or it's just like a library, but just some ideas there of things that would be true to any program you're, any recycling in Louisville would be the same. Nobody wants tanglers, no matter where the material is going. And that's what I have there. So I'll go ahead and stop. But these are things, Sarah Lynn, like I know you haven't been to many meetings recently, but these are some of the things we've been talking about, and trying to get the, West Rock gets a lot of our residential material, but Rumpke gets some. So just trying to figure out where there are inconsistencies, and are they bad enough for on either side to have it on a flyer, or is it something that we would take off? Like the picture, you know, for example, one thing is like aluminum pans, like a pie pan. Like Rumpke doesn't say they accept it because they don't really want those. But if they get them, they will recycle them. So we can take it off the flyer, we can put it on the flyer, you know, like whatever. If we're able to actually share something for everyone, we want it to be as consistent, but want it to be consistent, and we want it to be approved by any facility that could get our material.
What about your app? Because I find it so helpful.
Now that's real specific. So, and I
Right.
can actually put info in there, like check your waste hauler. Like if there's inconsistencies, you know, there's going to be a little note there. But in this case, and what we're focusing on as far as education is trying to really just hit the regular day-to-day person, not necessarily that avid recycler that is seeking out the more detailed information. Because there are definitely places for people to go for that info, Recycle Coach being one of them. And, you know, I have a lot of people that like to watch my No Waste Wednesday posts. Well, they're very detailed because that's what people question. You know, I use things sometimes that I get and I'm like, this will be a good one because I wasn't even sure. So I use that real detailed stuff. Every once in a while, I'll get somebody commenting saying, well, this is crazy. I just don't even want to recycle because it's too hard, you know, and I remind them, hey, here's the items that you should recycle. Stick to that and you're good. Like kind of like, don't mind me over here being, because I'm kind of talking to those people that are more interested in the nitty-gritty details.
So the one thing that I'm very aware of is that when I took the tour of the MRF recently and learned that pizza boxes are recyclable, even the liner, and I thought you had to at least throw the liner away. And so I've been educating everybody ever since, but that to me is something that we generate a lot of in a lot of households, and
That's true.
probably is worth at least illustrating. And I think one of those had a picture of a pizza box stacked with the other papers.
Yes, that one
Actually,
does. I was just
one
going
of
to
the
say, I like
things,
to
Sarah
use
Lynn, that
that.
you might want to know is Karen has done a fantastic job in terms of looking at the two MRFs that get all of our products and looking at what we can do to come up with consistent messaging. And quite frankly, she's done so well, we're basically down to almost nothing that is inconsistent, that is also significant. In other words, we're at the point where we can do some real education because we don't have to accommodate a lot of
Great,
significant differences.
great. That's a
Yeah, and the detailed, there's a MRF survey is what we call it. It's basically a tool from the recycling partnership that I've used. And I always get an update in January, so that's coming up again anyway. And I think we determined there might be a few detailed items that we may want to separate out or add. But that way, each MRF that your material goes to in a community could fill out that survey, and then you can kind of see where there's differences. And it's not, it's either they accept it, they don't accept it, and it's detrimental. They don't accept it and it's non-detrimental, and they don't accept it and they still recycle it. So those are the 4 possibilities.
But even as we're doing all of that, there are very few that are in any category that's bad. And Rumpke at the moment is looking into accepting something that in the past they didn't. In fact, according to Bruce, they're on the verge within the next few months of doing it. So we're down to the point where we're not going to change behavior in great part by worrying about those inconsistencies.
great.
Anything else, Karen, we should talk about?
Well, because I do have the Recycle Right program I kind of mentioned, and we've talked about it a lot over the past few years just because we piloted it well, gosh, almost 3 years ago now. The that's kind of like that what we call oops tag program. So I just wanted to share that we have 2 part-time staff that the district board approved, and we hired 2 and just started this week going out to some areas for tagging, and we're getting some audits of those routes that we're starting with. We're having those routes audited at West Rock. So we'll have some good data in the next few months.
I think I met one of those 2, didn't I, Diane? Was that one of the new Oops people? I was
You
impressed
did.
with him. I thought he looked like a very good hire.
Yeah, he's been good. And we have another good one, Ashley Brown.
Good.
Her husband actually works in waste collection. So it's interesting to hear things that she's heard at home and comes here and learns. So it's been good.
Our goal is to get 4 of those individuals if people don't know, and then we can really kind of start to cover some ground. But this is going to be a really good program for us, but it has been very difficult to hire for temporaries. It really has.
Do you think that is?
Whole country's that way.
People want
Um,
full-time jobs.
Yeah, it pay, a lot of options out there for people for, that paying pretty good. You can go to basically Walmart and get $20 an hour almost, I think, which is not a bad thing, but it's very competitive for what we want people to do.
Yeah, I think that this job pays well. It's just a part-time position, so there's no benefits, no holiday pay, no sick time, that kind of stuff isn't involved in it. But Ashley and Stephen both have other jobs, and I guess that's how they do it. But we'll continue. It's one of those jobs that's continuously open on the Metro, the site where you would apply for any Metro position. It's called a solid waste education specialist, and it is part-time and in the mornings. So if you know anyone, even just anybody who likes to walk, likes to get out, but maybe doesn't even need the benefits part of it, of a job, or just a little extra money, and it's pretty fun.
So I was going to ask, why don't we have 2 full-time instead of 4 part-time? But it's because the stuff is sitting out there in the morning, isn't it?
Mhm.
That's an inherent challenge.
Yeah.
Okay.
Pete,
That's
did you have
mostly-
something you wanted to add?
No, that's good.
Darren?
I don't really have anything else, unless there's any more specific direction to give me for the next month. But I think I will say I haven't had as much contact with folks from Rumpke lately, but I do feel like I'm sort of on hold, I think, for some of the things, because of course anything we do, it kind of has to go through both the possible MRF people. And then I guess just understanding, I don't know if I should maybe try to get together. I know there's a lot of our haulers have a presence in our meetings. But if I should try to pull together a meeting maybe with representatives from other haulers to share some of these ideas and get their feedback.
Karen, on that note, have we gotten any more feedback about being able to do this Recycle Right in the county? I know that we had some initial interest with waste management, but I didn't know if we had any other.
No, that's another point of reaching out toward Rumpke that I hadn't heard anything. And I think I even reached out specifically since Sandra mentioned Prospect would be a great possibility. And I think we determined that their collection is the opposite week of Metro. But that's what, since Metro's every other week recycling, we're hoping to get some private haul or maybe contracted areas that we'd be allowed to go through and tag, as long as
Yeah,
everybody's
if we're ready to do that, what I suggested was we need some lead time. And because things in life are always not as fast as some of us want them to be, we have to do something where we can tell people it's going to happen so that we don't have people wandering around putting things on their trash and creating excitement. But I think the Jefferson County League of Cities will cooperate with us. And what we thought we would do is kind of make the city, whatever city is going to allow it, make them realize that they're helping us build a program. So meeting with the mayor and with their service hauler and with you folks, and then telling them what the program is. And I think we can get cooperation. That's not an issue. You get the people, you train them, and we'll find a way to do it.
okay. Yeah, and
So-
we have a letter that goes out that it can cater to a particular city or HOA or whatever.
That's exciting, Sandra, because we really do want to get out to more areas. It's something that we always are trying to do, is ensure that we're getting out to everybody.
Would be cool is if we could get ahead of the new sticker in a neighborhood in the county served by Rumpke and measure, and then go back and measure after they put the stickers on the lids.
That here wouldn't have had an effect because what we went from for recycling was once a week at the back door to once every 2 weeks in the big bin at the curb. And so the issues aren't quite, and the other big issue, it has nothing to do with that. It has to do with the fact that we had personal service, 2 people on a truck, and we've gone to a single person on a truck with the lifts. And so the communication is very different from what we could do in a case like what you're talking about. And it's beginning to work. I was very afraid that when we first started, I was seeing a great reduction in the amount of recycling because of confusion, although the information was out there and it was out there in form. But as of this last week, it's beginning almost to look like it's back to what it was maybe 3 months ago. And that's good
Yeah.
because our people tend to recycle.
Just want to throw it out.
Greg?
Yeah, I've been on this for so long. Instead of more studies and more looking at it and all this stuff, we know this would work. We know the stickers work. We know it would increase everything. Everybody would like them. Why don't we just go get the stickers? So Sandra gives us an example of what they got. We can maybe contact the supplier to see what that is. And why don't we just do it? It'll save time and it'll actually save money in the long term if we just do it. So that's my vote, is why are we waiting? Just do it.
We
Well,
don't need to
I mean-
convince anybody.
Yeah.
Let me-
No, but we never do. So, okay, somebody tell me why not to do it.
Well, one of the
We're
reasons
spending,
is that-
we spend money, we spend money on all these outside vendors and contracts, and we do a lot of stuff. So it's not about money, is my opinion. It's how we spend it. And this is the most effective thing. And it's out there and it reaches every citizen. And if I leave my cart in the alley, even people that go by can see it and know what to do. So again, I vote right now. Let's do it.
So couple
Okay.
things, Greg.
Sure.
Number one is we have to make sure that we have a consistent message with the 2 different MRFs that we have, which is what we've truly been working on very hard. And we're very close to resolving. Number 2 is we just can't go put a sticker on a private hauler's cart without their permission. And we did that one time with the Coke thing, and it did not go over well. So we
We're just talking about just doing the stuff that we have direct control over to start with.
Well, and then the next step is it was easy to do it here because everybody got a new cart. I think it's much easier to do a new cart than to do an existing cart.
And we have talked about ways around that, which is kind of like putting the information on the cart when even existing carts. You can go back and give information on things, even though you can't put a sticker on an existing cart. Some carts, they're extremely dirty. They ain't gonna stay on a cart very long. And you know, me myself, I'm not so sure that stickers on carts are going to hold up based upon our experience. The last time we tried stickers, they when they faded. Time will tell.
The other thing is, and now that we've got them, then you start getting into what Karen was talking about more detail. For example, now all of our cardboard waste has got to go into the bin. It didn't before. If you broke down a very large container, it'd go next to the bin. But now that we're using the truck pickup without human pickup, you know, it's not as simple as we'd all like to make it sometimes, and it's hard for me sometimes to deal with the details.
I think when Sarah Lynn mentioned having a baseline, to me, it was more like, well, we haven't even done the stickers yet, but we have this other program going. So as we will know, there's a little notch in the timeline, stickers got added, you know, so if we are continuing that Recycle Right program, we may see a difference if an area has these stickers on the cart or whatever, and that would be interesting data. But I don't necessarily feel like we're waiting on anything, Greg, for this, except for what Pete said. And that's, you know, permission and consistent information. So
As far as the carts in the urban services district, you know, when we put those out, we did put information with them. And I would say that we have a very good recycling rate, and our contamination rate is probably one of the lowest in the country that I know of by far. And I think the last time that we talked, it was in the 5 to 8%. Am I wrong on that, Karen? So, I mean, it's extremely good. Now, it's worse in some areas versus other areas, but that's what the Recycle Right program is designed to deal with. So, you know, to be able to put stickers on something, I'm concerned about that. And, you know, you have to have the right situation. And I believe that new carts that are going out is one thing and existing carts is another.
You know, the carts, I think very commonly the lid deflects and then it holds water and therefore it holds dirt. I've learned this the hard way by moving them out of the middle of the sidewalk and pouring water down myself. So, but I'm trainable and I don't do that anymore. But anyway, my thought is we may have to put them on the front or the side in a place that doesn't accumulate so much sun to bleach them, so much water and so much dirt if we're
Yeah.
retrofitting.
The only problem with the side is that if you have a sidearm route, is that sidearm will rub
Good
off.
argument. Yeah,
Putting
one arm
on,
bandit.
putting them on the front, you have the same situation where you have the lift bar and, you know, where you can put it, you know, on the inside of the lid is somewhat protected. On the back side, you know, that's a possibility. Yeah, I still think that we need to see if the durability of the stickers is going to last. And making sure that if you put a sticker on it, that the color that's going to be gone first is not going to make it look like a ridiculous sticker.
Details.
Learn that for, you know,
They weren't on carts, but I've seen stickers on, I've been going to certain other cities for 5 and 10 years now, and it seems like the stickers on their, you know, stuff that they have in public areas and stuff has lasted for 10 years and more. So I think it's a matter of getting the right sticker.
Could be.
You know,
I
we did something and it didn't work right. There's no fault with that. It wasn't, you know, the color faded, but color doesn't fade on everything that's out there. So it's just a matter of finding the right sticker. And Sandra, could you possibly send the picture to all of us, instead of just sending it
Yep.
to group? I'd like to
You're
see it.
talking a person who's not good at cell phone pictures. I will
Oh.
try.
Well, but whoever you send it to.
And
could
if
they
I am
forward-
unsuccessful, I'll
forward it?
get my granddaughter to do it.
Okay.
That's what grandchildren are
And
for.
somebody could forward it to
That's
the group.
exactly right.
You know, I think that ink outdoors is kind of like tattoos. The warmer the color, reds, orange, and yellow, they're gonna fade, and the blues, the blacks, and the greens will stick around. So we'll just treat it like a tattoo and be a lot better off.
Is that
I
from
was in-
personal experience?
No, but my partner's son is a tattoo artist, and
Oh,
my dermatologist told me if I get a tattoo, I have to get green or blue because the warm colors are more allergenic even.
I worked in the
I
printing
haven't.
industry for a long time, and I know which stickers fade. They just do, and you cannot find good enough inks unless you have almost a black and white picture. That's really the only thing that's going to stay for the long term, which doesn't really look all that great. But industry has changed since I've been in it, so I don't disagree. The right sticker is good. The problem with some of the carts that are Department of Public Works is they're 23 years old. They're going to be out there for a long time. They're only supposed to last about 10.
actually, an interesting discussion. Is there anything else? If not, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Nobody wants to adjourn. You're all
Well,
having such fun.
I thought since I
Motion
had-
to adjourn.
Okay, Sarah and then Greg for a second. All those in favor? Then we're adjourned. We'll see you next month.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you.
Welcome back, Sarah.
Thanksgiving to
See
you.
everybody.
Thank you.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Marie,
Hey,
stay.
Yeah.
Pete?
Yeah.
Hang on just a second.
Yeah, I'm staying on to talk with Marie.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. I was just gonna ask real quick, are we still having a board meeting the day before Thanksgiving?